Welcome, engineer. You've been summoned to, well, the most complex machine room in existence. And forget everything you know about steam and gears of brass. We're talking about the Aether Heart engine, this incredible, temperamental, life-sustaining marvel that powers every single one of us. So today, we're handing you the schematics. You're going to master its every sputter, its every surge, and every stall. Let's get the diagnostics running. Just think about it. Deep inside this chassis, there's a constant, rhythmic pulse that keeps the whole system online. But what happens when the pressure suddenly drops? When you can hear the gears grinding and steam is hissing from pipes that have just ruptured? That's when a simple malfunction turns into a catastrophic life-or-death crisis. And that, engineer, is where you come in. Look over here. The diagnostic console, your ECG is just spitting out these frantic, cryptic signals. I gotta tell you, this is not a simulation. The system's integrity is failing fast, and you are the only one who can interpret its warnings. So the test, it begins right now. Can you decode these signs before total system failure? Okay, first things first. Before you can even think about fixing a broken engine, you have to understand its language when it's running perfectly. So we're gonna start by mastering the baseline diagnostics. This is the engine's native tongue. So this right here, this is the fundamental alphabet of our engine. That first little bump, the P wave, that's your atrial ignition. Then you get this massive spike, the QRS complex. That is the powerful ventricular compression stroke. And the final bump, the T wave? Well, that's just the whole system resetting for the very next cycle. This waveform is your baseline. You need to burn it into your memory. And listen, forget those complicated 8-step manuals you've seen. In a real crisis, you need speed. So you're going to use the engineer's 3-step scan. It's simple. 1. Is the rhythm steady, and is the rate where it should be? 2. Are the glyphs, your P, QRS, and T waves, are they all formed correctly? And 3. Are the intervals, the timing between each event, are they within spec? This is your go-to rapid assessment protocol. All right, engineer, brace yourself. We are now entering the red zone. These aren't just some minor leaks we're talking about anymore. These are full-scale, catastrophic system failures. Your immediate, and I mean precise, intervention is the only thing standing between this engine and the scrap heap. And there it is. The first alert screams across the console: ventricular tachycardia. This is a terrifying, chaotic power surge. The ventricles are firing way too fast, way too wildly to actually pump anything. The engine is literally shaking itself apart. If you don't intervene, total system collapse isn't just possible, it's imminent. Your emergency protocol has to be instant. First thing, you correct the fuel mixture. That means you address any ischemia, which is a critical lack of oxygen, and you get those electrolytes balanced. Then you inject the alchemical stabilizers. We're talking amiodarone or lidocaine to calm that chaotic rhythm. Now, if the engine is unstable, but you've still got a pulse, you have to perform a synchronized shock to reset its timing. But if there's no pulse, you hit it with everything you've got. Defibrillate, right now. This is it, code red. Ventricular fibrillation. It's not a rhythm. It's pure electrical anarchy. The diagnostic line is just a frantic, useless scribble. There's no coordinated contraction, nothing. The engine isn't pumping, it's just quivering. Your cardiac output has just dropped to 0. Don't even think. You just act. You start chest compressions immediately. You are the pump now. You're manually forcing fuel through the lines to keep the core systems from failing. This is a non-negotiable, immediate defibrillation scenario. You have to shock the system to try and force a hard reset. Then you flood the lines with a powerful stimulant like epinephrine to try and jumpstart any kind of response. This is the definition of a Hail Mary, and you're the one throwing it. And then, the alarms just fall silent. The console shows only a flat, dead line. Asystole. This is the most dire alert you can possibly get. There is no electrical activity. There is no mechanical activity. The Aether Heart engine is offline. You cannot shock a deadline. Let me say that again. You cannot shock a flatline. Your only hope is high-quality CPR to manually circulate fuel while you inject agents like epinephrine and atropine to try and spark the ignition. You have to rapidly hunt for and treat the underlying cause. We call them the H's and T's, the usual suspects like hypovolemia, hypoxia, or toxins, and you attempt to force a rhythm with an external pacer. You are literally fighting against the encroaching silence. Now, not every malfunction is a 5-alarm fire, right? Some are a little more insidious, a little more sneaky. So let's take a look at the engine stalls, the timing errors, and the system overloads that can definitely lead to catastrophe if they go unrecognized. So first up, sinus bradycardia. What's happening here is the engine's idle speed has dropped below 60 beats per minute. Now this can be totally fine in a highly efficient, athletic engine, but in a standard model, this low idle could mean there just isn't enough power to run the system, and that's going to cause dizziness, fatigue, and hypotension. And you need to remember this critical rule. You treat the patient, not the monitor. If the system is running just fine despite that slow rate, you simply observe. But if there are symptoms, if the lights are dimming, so to speak, you intervene. You inject atropine to hit the accelerator. You get that external pacer on standby, and you got to be ready to start a pressure-boosting drip. Okay, now let's look at AV blocks. These are failures in the engine's timing gears. Think of Mobitz 1 like a gear that slips a little more with each rotation until it finally misses one completely. It's predictable. But Mobitz 2, oh, that's a sudden, catastrophic gear shear. It just drops a beat without any warning at all. And that's why this one is far more dangerous. It can degrade to a complete system stall in an instant. An engineer is only as good as their tools. So welcome to the apothecary. In here, we don't use wrenches. We use potent alchemical solutions, cardiac pharmacology, to modify the engine's performance, to cool it down, or even to rewire its very circuits. First up are system coolant, beta blockers. These slow the engine's speed and reduce its workload, which is fantastic for an overstressed system. But, and this is the critical warning, this is the exam question students always miss. In a diabetic patient, these drugs can completely mask the telltale signs of hypoglycemia, like a fast heart rate or tremors. You could be flying blind straight into a sugar crash and not even know it. Next, we've got our circuit rerouters, sodium channel blockers. These agents fundamentally alter the engine's electrical pathways. And you can see it right on the console. They widen the QRS and they prolong the intervals. But you have to be warned, engineer. By rerouting the circuits, you seriously risk creating an even deadlier short. These drugs are highly proarrhythmic and can trigger the very catastrophes you're trying to prevent. And finally, we have the system governors, calcium channel blockers. They act like a throttle limiter, slowing down those chaotic atrial signals. But your protocol here has to be precise. If the systolic pressure is below 90 or the heart rate is below 60, you do not administer. You hold the dose. Pushing the engine into hypotension is a critical rookie error. So, you've studied the schematics, you've reviewed all the emergency protocols, and now it's time for your final test. A new alert is flashing on the console, and it's an unusual one. Let's see how you handle it. I want you to look closely at this diagnostic strip. The rhythm, it's perfectly regular. The rate is stable. But notice the ignition signal, the P wave. See how it's inverted? And it's appearing right after the QRS. The signal is firing, but it's coming from the wrong place, the AV junction, and it's traveling backward. So what is this malfunction? That, engineer, is a junctional rhythm. And that is the absolute truth of it all. These glyphs, these signals on the screen, they are the engine's only voice. Its life depends entirely on your diligence, on your knowledge, and on your ability to interpret its warnings before that silence comes. From catastrophic surges to these subtle little timing errors, you now have the foundational knowledge. The levers of control, the alchemical agents, the emergency overrides, they are all at your command now. The engine is in your hands. So the only question left is, are you ready?